I was so shocked. How is it that they are winning this argument? How can I not prove that God exists or reality exists, And I was so shaken at that time. And I was desperately looking for answers, I need to know this cannot be true what they're saying. And that's when I luckily got introduced to the books of Swami Vivekananda and the whole concept of non-duality. And that is when everything started falling in place. And, it's like all the pieces of the puzzle joining together and everything made sense finally. And not in the way I used to think about gods and goddesses earlier, but now it's like, oh, why did I not see this? How was I thinking like that before? And yeah, since then, I was like, everybody needs to know this.
Welcome to Silent Sages Speak, the podcast where timeless wisdom meets the present moment. I'm your host, Sukhdev Virdee, and in each episode, we delve into the profound teachings of non dual masters, those who have transcended the boundaries of duality and revealed the simplicity of existence. Join us on this journey beyond words as we explore the essence of being with those who have realized the truth that goes beyond language, beyond thought. Open your mind, silence your chatter, and let the wisdom of silent sages resonate within you. Today, my guest is someone who has done masters in philosophy from Mumbai University. She studied Indian and Western philosophies, Advaita Vedanta, and non-duality is something she's been practicing and learning from the gurus of Chinmaya Mission. I'd like to welcome to the show Dimple Desai. Welcome to the show, Dimple.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. Your
It's a
introduction
pleasure.
has got me energetic.
Oh yeah. You've got a pop bhangra singer who's
Yes.
doing the podcast. So the power of Punjabi music.
Great, great.
Yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Number one, I had so many requests to have
Mm.
a female,
Oh,
guest on non-duality because all the ones I've done
okay.
till now have been males, and some people were asking, "Are there no females?" So I went online, and I am part of your Shuddh Desi Gyan channel on Instagram, and
Okay,
then
great.
that's how I got in touch with you. So, welcome to the show. I would
Thank you.
like to hear about your life journey, how you started off, how you came into spirituality and non-duality.
All right. So, how I came into spirituality, actually, that was a long back when I had completed my 12th grade. And I had this 1 month period where I had nothing else to do. And my father put me into this yoga class. And it was a one
Uh-huh.
month yoga class. And it was quite intensive, although it was 1 month. So, for 9 hours, we used to sit there every single day. And I was like, they're going to make me do so much yoga, but it wasn't like that. It was 90% theory and 10% was asanas. And they were
Wow.
teaching this yoga philosophy, which I was exposed to for the first time. And I was like, what is this? Where has this been all my life? And since then, I kind of got into the whole spiritual process. And I started practicing the principles of yoga, not just yoga on the mat, but yoga off the mat. They have these yamas and niyamas, the rules and regulations, which I started practicing. And I saw just with those very simple practices, actually. And I saw so much change in me within a year or two itself. And I used to do it earlier, but I was doing it much more consciously now. So
Okay.
that's how the spiritual journey started.
So
Yeah.
when you're saying 12th, that would be around your
Uh,
what age?
fif- I think 15 years back, I must be in my,
15. So
yeah,
like the 12th is like
18-year-old, I
A
think.
levels.
Yeah.
12. I'm from Kenya, so I don't understand the
Okay.
schooling system. 12th
Oh,
means 12th
so
means
I was
A
18 years
levels.
of age. Yeah. A
Yeah, so
level.
that's A levels. Right, right. Okay. And then after that, you went straight away into Mumbai University. You did
No,
philosophy
no,
there.
no, 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 no. It was far away. Mumbai University took a lot of time for me to get there.
Okay.
I had planned, my parents had planned my whole life. Like they wanted me to do
Wow.
engineering and work in IT, go abroad. And, that was the life that they had imagined for me. And I obviously immediately yoga did not change me completely. So I did my engineering. I was working in a software company. I was working with
Wow.
Accenture. And while I was working with Accenture, side by side, I was continuously doing my research and philosophy and all those things. And
Hmm.
there came a point I was like, I want to pursue this and
Okay.
not anything else. And that's when I went to do masters in philosophy.
Wow. I forgot to ask you the yoga part that you just spoke about. This is the first time I'm hearing somebody learning the theory of yoga.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite
And
surprising for me.
yeah,
Yeah, because it was so long back. Now people I think are aware about the philosophy of yoga, or I'm not sure about it.
because
But
yeah, yoga has got that, that image of doing asanas and poses, and it's
yes,
just for that.
yes,
And yoga, actually, Patanjali's yoga is completely
yeah,
different.
yes, exactly. There is this, if you look at the Yoga Sutras which Patanjali has written, in that out of all the sutras, there is only one sutra which talks about asana.
Yeah,
Stiram
yeah,
Sukham Asanam. Rest, the all other sutras talk about the philosophy of yoga, which I think most of the people are losing out on. They think it's just on the mat, but there is so much to the yoga philosophy. It's beautiful.
yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. So
Yeah.
then you decided to take on philosophy, but then why like spirituality or Hindu philosophy or I mean philosophy? I would imagine there would be different kinds of philosophies. Was this a
Yes.
master's in general philosophy or specific?
It was a master's in general philosophy, and I did it from Mumbai University. So we had Western philosophers also, we had Indian philosophers also, but I was more inclined towards Indian philosophy and especially towards Vedanta.
Yeah,
Because before I even got into it, I had started reading books of Vedanta by Swami Vivekananda, and I saw a natural draw towards it. And I did read a lot of Greek philosophy as well, and
wow,
I really found it interesting. And Advaita Vedanta, of course, it's something which has become the center of my life now, which is
wow,
non-duality. Yeah.
wow, great, great. And this is like you spent how many years in this course?
So
This
masters
was
in
2 years,
philosophy was, yeah, 2 years,
two
two
years,
years course.
and so I searched you online, and
Mhm.
the little bit I could find out, you have a
Okay.
YouTube channel, you have the Instagram account that I mentioned, the channel that I mentioned. You teach a lot of people on, you give them insights on non-duality. Now there's some videos which I found very interesting, and I want you to talk about them if you can.
Okay.
These are things that I've never heard of before as well. There's
Okay.
one on Instagram that you speak about Likita Jap meditation.
Oh, yes.
I've never heard of that. You want to
Really?
talk about that? Yeah, well,
Sure,
I
sure.
found
I
it
would
very
love to.
interesting.
I would love to. So likhit means writing,
Yeah,
and jap means it's like a continuous repetition of a particular mantra or a name, right?
chant.
Yes, it's a chant.
Yeah,
So generally, how people chant is either they use a jap mala or they just sit and chant it. But likhit jap is writing the mantra continuously.
yeah,
So whichever mantra you like, you can start writing it. You have a dedicated book to write that mantra, and they advise you to use red pen only for that. And it's very effective. I have seen that personally. I do it regularly, and all your senses are involved. Your hands are writing it. Your eyes are looking at the mantra. You are speaking the mantra, so you're listening to it. So it gets very easy to get into that meditative state as compared to the other forms of meditation, I feel.
is this from some school, some
No, no,
tradition,
no.
or
This is has been in Indian tradition since many, many years. My
mm,
nanny used
so
to write it. My mother used to write it, and a lot of people back then used to write it. I think now the practice has kind of faded off, and I'm trying to bring it back. And I have been posting about but so many stories on it, and I think a lot of people have been inspired to write it. And I get so many DMs that I've started writing it because of your post, and they send me
yeah,
pictures of it, and I feel so good,
yeah.
because it was a long lost tradition, and it is
I've
a
never heard. Yeah.
simplest thing. Yeah, it's the simplest thing to get into a meditative state.
It's amazing how the mind works and how you can use everyday practice to just get into a meditative state and you don't realize you're in that.
Correct.
And there's some instances I follow Neem Karoli Baba. Have you heard of him?
Of
Yeah,
course, yes.
yeah. So he had a devotee who would sit and read a book all day long. And when he passed away,
Mm.
the other disciples found the book and they opened it only to see that he's reading Ram, 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 Ram. The whole book is just Ram, Ram, Ram. And
Oh,
he would be immersed in reading it, one
wow.
word at a time for
Wow,
hours.
lovely. It makes
And
you single pointed, right?
yeah, yeah. And the same story of Karoli Baba as well. When
Mm-hmm.
he like left the body, he used to write a diary. He used to write a journal
Mm-hmm.
daily.
Okay.
And when he left the body, he gave that journal to Siddhima. He's one of
Okay.
his disciples.
Yes.
And then they found out that all those years, he used to what he used to say is, "I'm writing the most important things that happened in the day."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the writings in that entire book was just Ram, 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 Ram,
Really?
Ram, Ram, Ram. That's all.
Oh, I never knew the story.
And he gave it to Siddhima, and he told her, "From now on, you will
Okay.
write this." So she went on to
Lovely.
write that.
Lovely.
Okay. Uh,
Very
no,
recently, I had been there. I think it's near Kasar Devi, Nim Karoli Baba's temple.
Kenchidam, Uttarakhand.
Kechidam. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh
Last
yeah.
December only I went there.
Okay, so I have some crazy stories with him, but we'll skip all that. Your
All right.
title, Shuddh Desi Gyan,
Mhm.
what I saw on Insta and YouTube, I love the tagline. There is no purifier in the world like knowledge.
Yeah. It's actually a verse from Bhagavad Gita.
You want to speak on this? How?
So yeah, basically, Bhagavad Gita is also one of the important texts of Vedanta, the
Yeah.
philosophy that I teach. And even in Advaita Vedanta, you would see that they say that the direct way of realization is through knowledge.
Yes.
And there is no more purifier than knowledge, is because the moment you know things, it's like a bulb on. All these years you must be thinking something, and the moment you get that right knowledge, it
Yeah.
just changes everything. It changes your entire perspective,
Yeah.
and it's the best way to know things.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I follow this path of knowledge, which is like a prominent path in Advaita Vedanta.
Yeah. My I when I got into knowledge, journey started with Bhagavad Gita and Krishna and devotion, love. I was crazily like into devotion, and even if there was anything beyond devotion, I never wanted it. But then after
Really?
that, I was pushed into Vedant, and
Okay.
then I started understanding words. Like you've done masters in philosophy, you would know the importance of every word that we speak. Every word can be challenged. That's
Yes.
as a philosopher, if you speak somebody can ask you, why are you saying why not the, you know so
Yeah.
the question here I would have is, I heard about this, knowledge is the purifier, the best purifier, and all that. My question would be, what does it purify? What is it purifying? I mean, how does it purify, and what is getting purified?
Just the ignorance part, just the ignorance part that it's kind of an illusion, and that we think this is how, let's just take a very basic example. If we hate a person, we think so many things about that person, and we think it is true. And the moment you know the knowledge, it's very difficult because you're so lost in that ignorance to
Yeah,
actually see the reality.
yeah,
So what the knowledge is doing is just killing the ignorance, just pulling off the curtains. See, there is
yeah.
light. You did not see it because you had put out those curtains. So it's just opening the curtains, basically.
Wow, that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Lovely way. I ended up with my own definition of how it purifies it. Is basically when you know the truth, your mind stops chattering. Then you know what to do next. Your
Okay.
mind
Yes.
stops, thought stops, you get clarity.
Yeah.
When you get
I
clarity,
love I love it when that happens. When that
yeah,
happens, when your mind stops chattering, I think it's the most beautiful place to be in.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, you said this is from the Bhagavad Gita. That's
Yes.
quite interesting. Now, walk us how the Chinmaya mission,
Yeah.
non-duality, how you started practicing it, any experiences that made you, want to like pursue it to its end. Vedanta is something you can't
You asked
leave.
you you
You
asked
can't
like
leave it
five
halfway.
questions. You asked like five questions in there.
So because I want to keep quiet and let you talk for the next five, ten
Okay.
minutes.
Okay, so which question should I pick off
No,
from that?
just pick any. And
Okay, so
your
I
journey, how you got into non-duality. I
non-duality,
know,
yes,
from what I've seen, is that your knowledge of non-duality, like you're very connected with Chinmaya mission.
yes,
So you have gurus over there. So how you
right.
got into that mission, and the gurus
Okay,
that you learned from,
okay.
any profound experiences that, or aha moments, that realization that
Hmm.
you had, that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right. So I'll just before I get into Chinmaya mission, I'll just share how I got into non-duality.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So, while I was growing up, as an Indian girl, I always had my parents who believed in gods and goddesses. And I also had those beliefs, strong beliefs. Although I was not very religious in practices, but in my heart, I always believed, okay, these gods are there. And as I grew up, I was exposed to more and more people as I was working in Bangalore and Pune. And I used to read also a lot about these gods and goddesses, and I came across two three people who would start these kind of discussions over gods and goddesses. And they were very logical people, skeptics,
Yeah.
and you know how skeptics are. So
Yes.
they started with this kind of conversations, and yeah, they had such logical arguments, and I used to fail. I had no replies to them,
Yeah.
and I was so shocked. How is it that they are winning this argument? How can I not prove that God exists or reality exists, And I was so shaken at that time. And I was desperately looking for answers, I need to know this cannot be true what they're saying. And that's when I luckily got introduced to the books of Swami Vivekananda and the whole concept of non-duality. And that is when everything started falling in place. And, it's like all the pieces of the puzzle
Pieces.
joining together and everything made sense finally. And not in the way I used to think about gods and goddesses earlier, but now it's like, oh, why did I not see this? How was I thinking like that before? And yeah, since then, I was like, everybody needs to know this. I mean, it's beautiful. And the way people are thinking about religion and what the whole philosophy behind religion, the whole Hinduist religion that we have, the base of that is Vedanta philosophy. And people are not aware of that, unfortunately. And that is the reason I really want, that's the reason I started my channel and making videos so that people come to know about non-duality. And
Mm.
yes, that's how I started into non-duality. With Chinmaya Mission, it was like very recently, I did a 10-day course in Kerala. It was Adi Shankaracharya's birthplace. It's a
Okay.
beautiful place.
Wow.
CIF, yeah, they have this Chinmaya Mission have taken over that, and they have made a whole institute out there. But still, it's very sacred, that place. And we did a 10-day course on Bhaja Govindam, which is a text written by Shankaracharya. And it was beautiful. I mean, the most beautiful experience I had in all my life, those 10 years. So, because, it started with yoga, there was chanting, and then there were like 3 to 4 hours discussion on non duality. And then we would go and sit and meditate in the Illam, which is the birthplace of Shankaracharya. It has a very powerful vibration, that place. So, if you meditate there and you've already been practicing before, then it's quick, the
Yeah.
progress is so fast. So, that 10 days, I think it really changed me a lot in the way in which I approach philosophy. Like for me, philosophy was a lot more intellectual earlier. But after meeting the gurus of Chinmaya Mission, I kind of understood its intellectual part has to stop somewhere, and you have to really go inside and see and experience things more. I knew it, but again, I knew it intellectually. But
Ah.
after meeting the gurus of Chinmaya Mission, I kind of understood it experientially, that I need to focus more within rather than just pursuing information and knowledge. Even though it is philosophical knowledge,
Yeah.
I need to experience it more. And now I regularly visit the Chinmaya Mission, which is in Mumbai, and it's a beautiful place to be, meeting those kind of people, having that kind of environment. It keeps me grounded, especially when you're living in a city life.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so easy to get distracted over here. So going there regularly, doing my practices every day keeps me grounded and on that path. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Chinmaya Mission. Oh, I've watched many
It,
of his videos
right.
online. Sorry, go on.
So Chinmaya Mission here, it's in Powai.
Hawaii.
It's a
Right.
beautiful ashram here in Powai. They have
Yes.
various centers all over India, outside also.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love his way of teaching. I've seen many of his videos on
Yeah.
YouTube, and he was one non-dual teacher who really inspired me because in his time he decided I'm gonna teach non-duality, Advaita Vedanta, Upanishads in India, in the villages or in the remote areas as well, in
Right.
in English.
Yes. He was the first one
And
to do that.
he's stuck to English.
Yes.
He is got such a great aura.
Yeah. And thank God he
And huh?
thank God he did stick to English.
Yes, yes, because now when I suddenly came out and started talking
Yeah.
about this now, a lot of people told me you need to do it in Hindi or in a local language for at least
Yeah.
India and all that. I said no, because in English, my command over the English language, I know every single word I'm saying, and
Right.
I can take responsibility and explain any single word. With Hindi, I'm not that good. With
Okay.
Punjabi and the other languages. So Chinmaya
Yeah.
Mission, Chinmaya Swami, he's Ashtavakra Gita. He's like the one of the best explainer commentaries on the Ashtavakra.
Okay.
He's I think I've read three or four different versions by different people, but his
Really?
commentary is
Okay.
amazing.
Yes. Very
Is
to the
amazing.
point, logical,
Yes.
it's like opening the curtains. What have you
Yeah.
been thinking before?
Yeah.
Even his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, it's the book is called as Holy Gita.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful book. I mean, every verse he has explained it in so much depth. He has analyzed everything in so much detail. For me,
Yeah.
the same thing happened like the way it happened with you in Ashtavakra Gita. I have read so many different commentaries on Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
and nothing really kept me hanging on to it as much as this book. And I was like, wow, this is the book which I needed since childhood. If I had got hands on this book, then my
Yeah.
life would have been completely different.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing how the Bhagavad Gita has changed so many people's lives. When
Yeah,
it changed my life, it was like number one, just like yourself. Why didn't I read this earlier?
yeah,
And secondly, um, once I got it, I was wondering why isn't it being taught to
right.
at least if people, children in school, at least in India itself or
Yes,
in some
correct.
states. And so what I did, I had page on Facebook and got about 350,000, 350,000, yeah,
Hmm.
3.5 lakh people on a page, which I had
Okay.
dedicated to Krishna. And I
Hmm.
would go there and ask anybody who wants a Bhagavad Gita, no matter where you are in the world, I will send you a copy. Just let me know.
Really? Wow.
I did that for I think about 2 or 3 years.
So, which
And
publication were you giving them?
so I had all the different publications from
Okay.
different centers, and I would ask them whether they are more devotional people, or whether they are
Mm.
more intellectual, or whether they are more physical.
Lovely. So, based
So
on
then,
that, you used to give the
yes,
books.
yes,
Amazing. That's
yeah,
great. That's a great job you were doing then.
yeah. So
Because
go
can
on.
I just, yeah, because
Yes,
what happened with me is I'm a very logical person since the beginning and also devotional. But this whole generation, they look for logic,
yes,
especially the city people, all my friends. They all want logic. Nobody wants to accept things just the way they are.
yes,
And I was given this book long back called as Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is always hype. But I got this commentary from a particular, I would not mention it, but some people find it useful. And I never really understood it. I couldn't read it much. And then I tried different commentaries, nothing made sense. And then this happened. So it's very important to which commentary you're reading, depending upon your
yes.
um, type, whether you want devotional or intellectual. So what you were doing is just amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So for somebody who would not want to believe in God, they would find the devotional commentaries very, one-sided. That
Yes,
how can
yes,
Krishna be God, or
right.
what about the others? and
Yes.
so that was a good thing. So Bhagavad Gita, even till date, I find as many people as I can, I would send out a gift to them. Even if you're watching this video, if you want a copy of it, let me know. Um,
Awesome.
Coming down to non-duality, like you said, it started with people asking you the proof of God,
Yeah.
and you have made a video on that. I saw a video on that in which you cover uh, the reasoning, Vedanta, and you say two ways of knowing the concept of God. One is religion, and one is reasoning and logic.
Reasoning, logic. Yes.
And then you go on to explain the Vedant way of six ways of gaining knowledge.
Right.
I want you to talk
Right.
about that. I don't want to say it. I want you to
Okay. All right.
explain that. But you're the
So
master here.
I'm not a master.
Actually,
I'm learning. I'm continuously learning.
no, you're a true master. You've run masters in philosophy. You're actually a master.
I'm yet to do my PhD, so still learning.
Okay.
So proof of God. Very interesting question. A lot of people keep asking me. People who are skeptics, people who also believe in God, but again, like me, they don't have any logic when they are asked who is God. So what happens is they are asking a wrong question. That is what I try to make them understand. Because when you talk about God, that comes in the field of religion. God comes in the field of religion. And when you're asking the proof is something which you use in science or in
Wow.
logic, right?
That is super.
Yeah, so you're mixing two things. You cannot ask, you can ask, okay, what is the proof of something which is scientific? What is the proof of the existence of chlorophyll, in plants? You ask and they will prove that. You are asking proof in the field of religion. That does not work. The method of questioning itself is wrong. So there are ways of knowledge in every field. Like in religion, the way of knowledge itself is faith. So if you do not have faith, do not even get into there.
Yeah.
People who have faith, they are getting all sorts of answers which you will not get. So if you are entering in the field of science, okay, don't say, okay, faith, I have faith that there is chlorophyll. Then they will call you mad over there. So in which field you are there, first realize that, and you have to approach that subject area according to that ways of knowing in that subject. So that's what I was trying to explain in that video. So you're asking the wrong question. In terms of God, it is a matter of faith, and in terms of proof, it comes into a different area of subject itself.
Yeah, that is so well put, so well put. I do the same now.
Yeah.
I studied a bit of Shaktism. So from Shaktism, I understood Vedanta covers everything. But then, if you study the other schools, you get to know what Vedanta refers to in the same way. So Shakti is the goddess as the absolute truth. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
Shakti as the absolute truth. Like in Shaivism, we have Shiva is the absolute truth.
Right.
In uh, in Vaishnavism, we have Vishnu is the absolute truth.
Correct.
So in Shaktism, Shakti is the absolute truth, and she is the power that has created and destroyed. She's the
Mm.
creator, preserver, and destroyer as the absolute truth. She has three powers, okay, which are Ichha Shakti, Gyan Shakti, Kriya Shakti, which is
Mhm.
your emotional power, your intellectual power, and physical power.
Right.
And our yogas cover this so well. There is Bhakti Yoga, Ichha Shakti,
Yeah.
emotional power. There is
Mhm.
Jnana Yoga, which is intellectual power. And there is Kriya Yoga, which is
Karma.
physical
The
power.
karma
So,
yoga. Mm.
yeah, Karma Yoga. Yeah,
Mm.
Kriya Yoga. Oh, so Kriya goes into meditation. Kriya Yoga.
Okay, Raj
Kriya Yoga
yoga.
goes
Ah,
into, yeah, Raja
right.
Yoga. That
Yes.
one, uh, it what Raja Yoga is called Raja Yoga for a reason because it negates all these powers. So I usually this when I understood it that
Mm.
like you said it's the wrong question to ask the proof of God. If you're uh, in religion, then you need emotional power. You need emotional faith.
Right.
You're working with your emotions. On the path of knowledge, you need jnana.
Right.
You can't ask, you can't know God in the same way that you can't believe in knowledge. You need to know knowledge
Right.
and
Right.
you have to believe in God.
Right.
And what I was asking also is what you covered in that video was the six ways Pramana,
Yes.
is it Pramanas?
Pramanas, the
Yeah.
ways of knowing.
Yes.
So, in ways of knowing in Vedanta, first one is pratyaksh, which is common to most of the philosophies. Pratyaksh is perception. Like we
Yes.
come to know about things through our sense organs. Like I see a chair, so the chair is existing. I can touch the chair, so the chair is existing. That is the first way of knowing something through perception. Second is, I think, Anuman. Anuman is inference. Like I see smoke on the mountain. So I infer that there is fire. I cannot see fire, but I can infer from smoke that there is fire. So that is a second way of gaining knowledge in Vedanta, which is inference. So Pratyaksh, Anuman. Then there is third one, which is assumption, presumption. So you assume something. For example, you have a friend who has been to this particular island and has seen some animal and is trying to, and you have never seen that animal. That person is describing you that animal looks like a cow and he eats like a cow, but is not a cow. So, with the help of an example,
Yeah.
analogy, with an analogy, he's explaining so that it becomes clear to you. Because, when you get into Vedanta, things become abstract so fast,
Yeah.
metaphysics, right? And
Yeah.
people have not seen it. People around you have not seen it. So you have to use analogy a lot. And you would see in Vedanta and in Upanishads, there are so many analogies that they have used,
Yes.
that they continuously take examples of honeybee or they take the example of rope and snake.
Yeah.
So this is because a way of knowing through something that you can go to the unknown. From known, you go to unknown. So that is the reason they use this way of knowing a lot in Vedanta.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so the last one was the one
um,
where.
Pratyaksh, Anuman, presumption is there. Anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi is a little debatable. It's not because they say is if something does not exist, that is also a way of knowing things. But it is still a little debatable in Advaita Vedanta, whether some people accept it as a way of knowing, some people do not accept it as a way of knowing.
Okay. Okay. But I think I find that more logical because after understanding it all and coming to my own conclusions, to know the unknown, you've got to know the known, and then what's left over would be the unknown.
Yeah,
If you know
yeah,
everything that is,
yeah.
then whatever is left over is what we are talking about, and it's got to be one. And it's got to be non-dual. For my, that's where these words nothingness come from. Nothing. How many nothings are there? There's only one nothing. Can you know nothing? No, you can't. Can you see nothing? You can't. Can you hear nothing? You can't. So you can't perceive it with your senses. You can't think about nothing.
But there
The
is nothing
only
else than nothing.
Yeah, and the only thing that you can do with nothing is, ironically, you can only be nothing. When you stop all your thoughts and you let go of your entire uh, personhood, if you're when you're thoughtless, you're absolutely you'll realize, even though I don't have any thoughts, even though I'm not perceiving anything, I still am.
Exactly. I still
How
am.
do you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
Who
find
is
that
the one who
very.
is not having any thoughts? You can still perceive that you're not having any thoughts.
Yes, yes,
Who is that?
yes, yes.
What is
That's
that?
where
Yeah.
these words, Satchidananda, consciousness,
Yeah.
existence, Sat
Yeah.
comes in, Ananda
Yeah.
comes in, and Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. All this,
Yeah.
it's existence. Basically, all things are in existence. All thoughts and experiences in consciousness, and they both arise together and they subside together. And when they are in their pure forms, that's pure bliss. So that's when
Yeah.
you're thoughtless. Absolutely. You also, I studied a little bit about the Hindu schools of thought in
Mm-hmm.
Vedanta.
Mm-hmm.
And you again, I'm now referring to the videos that you've done, so I know you have done it
Okay.
and you've studied it.
Okay.
There are six schools. You want to talk about those?
Yes. Sure. Sure. So it's called as Shad Darshans, and these are the six. There were many schools of philosophy in India. Philosophy is one subject. It's actually not even called philosophy in India. I'm just using it because people understand it. In India, it was called as darshan.
Oh,
Philosophy is
okay.
a very Western word. Shad
Wow.
Darshan. Yeah.
I
So
never knew that.
Darshan is because when you say the word philosophy, it makes it a little more intellectual, that you're
Hmm.
thinking and analyzing and objectifying and understanding. When you say Darshan, Darshan is basically, it means viewing it directly,
Ah,
direct
wow.
realization. Yeah. So in India, they were called as darshanas. There was Shad Darshan. Shad means six schools of philosophy, basically. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's
Please go
direct
on, go on, go on.
realization.
Go on, go on, go on. Sorry. Ignore,
Yeah, no,
please,
no,
please.
take your moment. I
No,
had
because
this.
I always thought darshan was like, when you go to a temple or you see somebody or have somebody's darshan,
Yeah.
the view of somebody, master or sage. We've been brought up to know that as darshan. Wahan jaake darshan karke aao, and this kind of stuff.
That is darshan
But
also.
yeah, but what
But
you have
when you,
explained it,
yeah,
beautiful. Go on, please.
these philosophies is darshan of that reality, direct
Yeah.
realization of that reality. So, six schools of philosophy. First was Sankhya. It was the oldest school of philosophy, and it's called as the school of numbers. And Sankhya and yoga, they generally go together. Yoga is another very important school of philosophy. So they say yoga is practical and it derives most of its philosophy from Sankhya. And Sankhya, it divides the whole world. The most
Yeah.
important part of Sankhya is Purush and Prakriti. It divides the whole world into two things. It's dualistic, essentially, consciousness and matter. So that is what Sankhya was about. And yoga derives a lot of its philosophy from Sankhya. And then we have there's Sankhya, yoga, there is Mimamsa and Vedanta. So these two go hand in hand. So Mimamsa is again the ritualistic part. So Vedas is also, if you look at the Vedas, there are two main sections in Vedas, Karmakand and Jnanakand.
Yeah.
Karmakand is the whole ritualistic aspect of Vedas, of how to do yajnas and sacrifices, and every little detail that you have to put in the sacrifice, when, what, how, everything,
Uh,
in depth. That is ritualistic part. So Mimamsa was more about explaining those rituals and its benefits. So, and it can get you anything that you want in the material world. So, but there is a proper procedure, a long procedure, which is explained in Mimamsa. Vedanta focuses more on the knowledge aspect of Vedas. So Vedanta itself comes from the Vedas, the whole philosophy, because Veda Anta is Vedant, end of the Vedas. So the Upanishad, which has the main philosophy, the core philosophy, that is what is taken up and studied in more depth in Vedanta. The knowledge section purely, no rituals. And that is the reason you see not many gods and goddesses are mentioned when you learn the Vedantic philosophy, which I think a lot of people are still not aware of. When I say Vedanta, they still think that I'm going to talk about Shiva or Krishna.
uh,
And I tell them, no, we are not even in the whole course. You will not even see you mentioning them even once, the names of any gods. And they're like, then
yes.
what are you teaching? Really, you come to my class. I'll tell you what I'm. So that is Vedant. And so we have Sankhya Yoga, we have Mimamsa, Vedanta, we have Nyaya and Vaisheshik. Nyaya is the school of logic and very analytical school. And I think the Pramanas also came from this school. So thorough analysis it does of everything. And Vaisheshik is called as the school of atomism. So the idea that everything can be reduced to a single atom came from Vaisheshik school. So they are all quite different from each other, the Shaddarshanas, but very important again. And then there were other three which were, so the schools of philosophy, they're divided into two, Astic and Nastic. Now, again, we
Okay.
think, Astic means you are dedicated to God, devotional to God. And Nastic means you don't believe in God. But that's not how the division is. Here, Astic means they believe in Vedas, and Nastic means they do not believe in the authority of Vedas. So these Shad
Okay.
Darshanas believed in Vedas. And the Nastic schools were Buddhism, Jainism, and Charvak. These three. They do not believe in the authority of the Vedas, but you will see a lot of concepts are still similar in them. Like we have karma,
Yeah.
rebirth, and all those things, a lot of things are similar. So these are the main schools of philosophy, total in nine. Six are Astic and three are Nastic, which I had studied in Masters of Philosophy, and I stuck to Vedanta. And if you go in Vedanta, again, there are many categories. There is sub schools of Vedanta. There is Vishishta Advaita, Like ISKCON is one part of Vedant which took ahead. In the same way, we have what was that? There's another one big institute. I forgot. So they were
Who's
all branches of Vedanta, and Vedanta is something which is still very living today. That is a practicing philosophy which has turned into a religion. Unfortunately, so much into religion that people have forgotten the basics, the roots of Vedanta.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
You
whole
mentioned
bhakti
this
tradition, yeah. The
the
whole bhakti tradition. I'm so sorry, I'm cutting you short.
no, 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 no. I'm learning so much from you. Seriously, you've
Yeah.
done you know you get to join a lot of lots. You mentioned Visheshika.
Vishishta Advait.
Vish,
Vishishta
no, no, no.
Advait.
The one of the six schools,
Vaishashik, Vaishashik. Huh.
Vaishashik, which you said is about
School.
atoms, reducing everything to an
Atomism.
atom. And
Yes.
interestingly, Vishnu means an atom. You know the word
Yes.
Vishnu is
Yes.
uh, Vishwa is the entire universe, and
Hmm.
Anu is an atom.
Yeah.
So Vishnu is that which pervades in and through every atom.
Lovely.
And like you said also,
Beautiful definition. Huh? Lovely.
I just got that from you. You just mentioned it and it clicked. They all
Nice.
mean the
I can make
same.
the next reel on this topic.
uh, after how it made sense to me all later on, like you said, we've forgotten the basics and the foundations of all these schools. If you ask somebody who believes in Shiva and ask him what is the highest form of Shiva, and they have to tell you it's the formless form, right?
Right. Right.
uh, because if somebody says that just the man, the figure, the form, human form, that is Shiva, then he's a limited Shiva. Then he's not everywhere.
Hmm.
He's not every
Hmm.
time. He's not. He's
Correct.
not what non-duality talks about. So, the highest form of Shiva would be formless. The highest form of Vishnu would be formless. The highest form of Shakti is formless. We talk about
Yes.
God in any other religion, they talk about a formless God. Now, how many formlesses can there be? There can just be one. They're all
One.
talking about the same one. If we
Okay.
come into Hinduism also, if you talk about Ganesha, his highest form is a formless form. So it all made sense to me that it's all coming from that same one formless source. Then
Yes.
you have Vishnu, you
Yes.
have Shiva, you have God. Somebody's calling him
Yeah.
somebody is worshipping the formless part, and somebody is worshipping them in forms. And so
Yes.
then I could understand it that way. Now you
Yeah.
spoke about how the people that you teach
Hmm.
when they come to you, give us an insight of how uh, you take somebody from now. How do you answer to those questions? Somebody who asks you, give me the proof of God, or your students and disciples, how do you take them from the known to the unknown?
Thankfully to them that nobody's asking me these questions anymore, but I would love to answer this question to the skeptics. But
Yeah, when you come into non-duality, you realize all your friends and everybody is leaving you and going, this person
yeah.
has lost it.
So, no, I just wanted to add one thing to what you were saying, like Ganesha, Vishnu, all of them are formless. Some thought came to my mind. There is this verse in Rig Veda. Okay, Rig Veda we know as is the oldest literature which has been written. And it has this verse which says, Ekam Sad, Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Ekam Sad, Sad means one. The truth is one. The wise call it by different
Yeah,
names.
yeah,
That's what it is, and
yeah.
today people get so lost in that I believe in Shiva, or I believe in Vishnu, or I believe in Shakti, and they develop this. It's good, I'm not saying it's bad, it's brilliant. I mean, having that kind of devotion is what takes you in the next,
Right.
it's a stepping stone.
Yeah,
But we should always remember that this is not the ultimate. This form that you are looking at, there is a formless reality behind that, and that forms helps you to reach that formless reality. Otherwise, it's difficult.
yeah.
But this awareness needs to be there, and that is why in our religion, if you look, all the gods, whether it is Vishnu or Hanuman or Shiva, then they become Mahavishnu, they become
Yes,
Mahaganesha.
yes.
That is their higher form. So that is the reason, this verse just came to my mind. So I felt like sharing it.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good. I was referring to the same thing. Mahavishnu,
Yes.
Ganpati, and all the
Mahadevi,
Mahas and the Params, and all
Mahadev,
refer to
yes,
the same one
yes,
formless aspect.
correct. So it's like
Uh,
whichever form you choose, it's
yeah.
okay, as long as you follow that path endlessly and you
Yes.
realize that it is ultimately all taking you to the same path.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I forgot the
Uh,
question that you were asked.
uh,
Sorry.
how you take somebody who
Yeah.
the students that come to you now. So
Okay. So I take workshops on Vedant and online as of now. And so mostly they have some background of Vedant in the sense, they have this awareness that this deity or gods and goddesses you're worshipping is not the ultimate reality, because they come through my page and they know I talk about this a lot. So they, luckily for so far, I have not got people who would argue to this. They are
yeah,
looking for understanding, and that makes the whole difference. The moment
yes,
somebody is looking for understanding, they're receptive
yeah,
to the knowledge. So students are, they're coming, so thankfully they want to know and learn. And I do get, when I'm explaining this concept of sagun brahman and nirgun brahman, that is where they do get shaken up a lot. And that is the reason I have to break those sessions, because you have had these beliefs for so long,
yeah,
and you are literally shattering their beliefs. So it takes, I people have told me it will take me 1 week for this to sink in. And I was like, yeah, take your time. But this is needed. You need to understand what you have been believing for so long. Understand
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
it takes time, especially the concept of Sagun and Nirgun. A lot of people keep asking and arguing, he, if you believe that the forms that you're worshiping, because I also do that daily ritual practice, every day I sit in front of mandir, I do my puja, I do believe in the gods, but this awareness is there.
yes,
But people who are devotees, hardcore devotees, for them it's actually much more easier. you
yes,
know we get into this whole intellectual game, but then you look at the people of ISKCON and the way they do kirtans and bhajans.
yeah,
They are lost in love
yes,
of God. It's a beautiful way to be as
yes,
well,
yes,
and but if you are very intellectual, you will not be able to do that. So you
yeah,
might as well come on this path. But if you're able to do that, great.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah. I you put it so beautifully, and this is one thing that I learned on the path. Again, that one, the path is not the destiny. You know, all these are paths leading to something, leading somewhere. So you don't get lost just in the path, either bhakti, jnana, or kriya, or karma, whichever path you're on. It is a path that is leading you to somewhere. So all the paths are leading to the same place, and you have to start off somewhere. Now, it's very difficult to start off straight away with the path of yoga or jnana. It's easier, like you said, to start off with bhakti. Now,
yeah,
doubt is one thing. Krishna says in the Gita as well that for the one who doubts, he has no peace in this world and the next. He'll never get peace. So it's better to believe in something than to doubt everything. Number one. And then when you believe in something, it's better to know something than to believe in something.
yeah,
Now, and then after that, it's better to experience something than to just know something.
correct.
It's
Yeah,
bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga, and then it's better to experience the absolute in its entirety. That's Raja Yoga.
yeah,
That's when you're going to complete samadhi. So these are all schools that they are important. What I actually don't like, some people who are on the path of knowledge despise the people who are on the path of, there's a
the
whole
devotion.
war going on between the
Mm-hmm.
bhaktas and the
Yes,
gyanas, the schools. They don't understand. For some people, and it's so great that these paths are there. There's
yes.
somebody who would say, I don't want to understand. Please just, tell me what to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep your knowledge towards you.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
happy in my kirtans.
Yes.
Perfect. Great.
And and
Yeah,
and that's a good thing. That's a good
yeah.
thing for that kind of a person. My wife, she's a total bhakta. So
Wow.
I and whenever I talk about this philosophy stuff, she's like, please, no, 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 I don't want to hear it. I believe
Sometimes
in,
I'm jealous of those kind of people, to be honest.
yes, yes, because they're actually in bliss
They're
as
always
well.
in ecstasy. They're always in
Yeah,
ecstasy.
yeah. So,
And so easy
um,
for them to get there.
yes, yes. And like when I was into bhakti as well, I still am. I don't negate any of the practices that led me to where led me where? Back to where I actually was. I was nowhere. If when you realize the truth, it was always there. It's right in front of you. You never realized it. So I used to meditate on Krishna, and then suddenly I had some experiences with, and then whenever I would sit for meditation, Krishna would disappear and I would find me meditating on myself. And I would
Wow.
wonder, what the heck is going on? I didn't know at that time
Wow.
what non duality is. That's when I came into non duality. I understood self awareness and consciousness.
Yeah.
Uh, so a lot of these things. Uh,
I've had such similar visions
oh,
as
yeah,
well.
please, please,
Yeah.
please share. I would love to hear.
I'm not very comfortable sharing. It's very
Okay, that's
personal
fine. That's fine.
experiences.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. So, you have coming down again to the people who come to you from to learn. Where all can they get in touch with you, and what all courses do you have, or teachings, ways of teaching people, and what do you have planned for the future for people that
Okay.
want to learn this from you?
Okay. So first thing is they can follow my Instagram channel, which is hopefully you'll mention it in the description, Shuddha
Yes,
Desi
yes,
Gyan.
yes.
And I take courses on Vedant. And for now, I've been taking small workshops, but I am planning in the future, before the end of this year, to release a full-fledged course on Vedant, which will extend to 2, 3 months because it's expansive, it's extensive. It's not something you learn in 2, 3 days. So a 2 to 3 months live course on Vedant, and I've
Is
had
this
my doubts.
online or offline?
It will be online, yes.
Online. Okay.
Yeah. And there is this one more Shakti tours which are going to happen in 2 months or so. And so there are these Shakti Peeths in Kamakhya. So there is this Shakti tour which goes to these Shakti Peeths. And I will be taking sessions on understanding the whole concept of Shaktism on that tour. So it's like an immersive journey, understanding and visiting those temples. I'll put
Wow.
all of those on my channel. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, one thing I love about your the first guest I've had is actually all rounded in the sense that it's not only Jnana Yoga that we're talking about. We're talking about Bhakti Yoga as well. We're talking about the other schools of thought. And, that's why I consider Bhagavad Gita is a complete book. In fact, one that covers all the yogas and all different paths that you can use to, it covers
Yes.
God as well. It covers Vedanta as well. It covers the formless and the form.
Yes.
And apart from like Ashtavakra Gita, Avaduta Gita, these are solely just non dualistic texts. And so the conversation we've had today has covered a lot of those aspects of bhakti as well and knowledge. Um, is there anything that you would like to tell the viewers that we may have missed out? Some
No,
insights that you want to share?
I think when you bring up Bhagavad Gita, every time this thought comes to my mind, that Bhagavad Gita, if you want to start reading, always make sure you get a good commentary, a good author, a good publisher based on your type. Whether you're
Yeah,
intellectual, go to Holy Gita by Swami Chinmayanand. If you are others, I think you can suggest them because you have been giving Gitas.
yeah.
But it's very important which commentary you take. That's something which I've always
Right.
been telling you. That's all. Otherwise, I had a great conversation with you.
Right.
And
Let me
thank you
share
so
just
much for
something
having me.
a
Yeah.
little more on the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
How I tell people to read the Bhagavad Gita now is do not read the commentaries.
Okay.
My understanding is this. So suppose I told you to explain some everything that we've spoken
Mhm.
and what you have said. You mean what you said? Did you
Yeah.
say it the way did you say it the way you wanted somebody to understand it?
I said it the way I understood it.
Yeah, and the way you would want somebody to understand it, right?
Right.
I'm
Your
just
voice is
speaking into a
breaking
point.
actually. No,
Uh,
your voice is breaking, so I'm
oh,
not able to
okay.
understand. Yeah.
Is it clear now? Is it clear?
Yes. Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, yeah. So what I was saying is Krishna said was speaking to Arjuna and telling me exactly what he wanted to tell Arjuna. He
Mm-hmm.
was telling him exactly what he wants to say. For
Right.
some third person to come in and say, Krishna said this, but he means that. I feel that's a little taking away from what Krishna wanted to say. When we do it in the
Okay.
commentaries, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's like if we open the first verse, there are so many verses in the Bhagavad Gita which are just straightforward.
Yeah.
And then you have a commentary of about 2 pages of somebody who's written what it
Mm-hmm.
means. It's
Yeah.
like me telling you, this is an apple. So Krishna said, this is an apple. And now I'd start explaining, he said it's an apple, but he means this, you know?
I
So
understand what you're
I
saying. Yeah.
I always tell them read only the verses without the commentary. When you're stuck, then go
Yeah.
into the commentary and
Yeah.
see get a different view.
Yeah, but it helps. Commentary really helps for a
Yes.
beginner. So if you just directly want to read it, Gita Press is best. Doesn't have
Yes.
much
Yeah.
commentary, no commentary actually, just direct translation.
Yes.
And but for some people, I think who want to understand it in depth, commentaries can be good. The right commentary can be really good.
My story of Bhagavad Gita is I was going through a really difficult phase in life, and suddenly out of the blue, three of my friends who I've never met and not met in a long time gift me the Bhagavad Gita out of the blue. I just meet them somewhere, and they gift me the Bhagavad Gita, and I could not read it because I could not understand in the beginning the opening chapter Dhritarashtra and Gandhaiva. And I never knew a conch shell
Yeah.
would have a name or a bow and arrow would have a name. I never knew all those things, so I could never go past the first few verses until somebody, one of my friends, narrated the scene. He said, "This is the scene. This is a war going on between two people, two families, and here's Krishna and Arjuna. He's in the middle of the battlefield, and now Krishna is teaching him." So I got that, and then I could only read the verses. I could not read the commentaries. So my whole story is my internet connection not well.
Now it's better. Yeah,
I
now it's better.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my story of Bhagavad Gita also was not reading the commentaries. I was
Oh, lovely.
just onto the Bhagavad Gita and I read it for 2 years straight.
Wow. Without
I did not
commentary.
do, yeah, I did not do
Superb.
anything.
Superb.
And that after that, I was then kicked. I was literally kicked into Vedanta.
Lovely.
I fought with Krishna also and said, no, I'm not leaving. He's like, no, you've got to go and learn this now. And then when I came to Vedant, it was
Mm.
like, oh, this is what I've done. This is what I've done. How does this guy know what I've been through, what I've been doing? Uh,
Wow.
yeah. Um,
So what all did you read about Vedanta if we have still time?
oh, Vedanta. I have authored 10 books on non-duality and the Upanishads.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
Um, so I've been through, oh, maybe about four, 3 or 400 books on Vedanta. Most of the
Mm.
Ramakrishna main books, I've been through most of them. Swami Vivekananda, most of his books. Uh, Shankaracharya, a few of his books. The Upanishads, a lot of the Upanishads. And of
Okay.
course, Brahma Sutras. Um, one book to definitely have in Vedanta is Vedanta Sutras or
Oh.
Tattva Bodha.
Mm-hmm.
It's by Shankaracharya as well. And
Mm-hmm.
which is the other one? Vedanta Sara.
Oh,
Now
nice.
these two books give you all the definitions of all the terms
Correct.
in
Correct.
Vedanta. So it's like a dictionary. So every
Yes.
time somebody mentions something, you can go and check what it means. Subtle body, sukshma sharir, gross
Yeah.
body and causal body. Where does God fit into all this?
Right. Dictionary of Vedanta. That's the right word.
Yeah, yeah. So I did all that. And then at
Lovely.
the end, you've got to realize they're all teaching you so that you let go of all the knowledge. It's like
Yes.
you are never bound. You've just been you've just been thinking that you're bound and you realize you were always free. You
Yeah.
did never needed the
so much knowledge to know this.
The,
That
the knowledge. Yeah.
yeah.
How do you explain? Let me ask you something. How do you explain to somebody now on the path of non-duality on Vedanta?
Mhm.
Sab moh maya hai. Oh, it's all an illusion. How do you explain this to somebody, or make them understand?
Non-duality.
No, just here's the question: how do I believe things in front of me are in illusion?
Okay. How do I explain it to them?
Yeah. Or
Okay. So what I do is generally there are two, three ways which I do. One is the dream analogy that I use. You
okay.
will not believe this happened with me today itself. My son woke up in the morning
Huh.
and 7 o'clock, and he started crying. Middle of just in the morning, he woke up and he started crying, and he said, "My toy is broken, and you have to fix it. It's not getting fixed." And he started crying and fix it. His eyes are shut, and he's crying.
Oh.
Fix my toy, the glue is over, the glue is over. Mama, what you're doing, what you're doing. And I'm telling him, that sleep, you're just dreaming. It's not true, it's not real, it's not happening. He's crying, no, Mama, the glue is over. How will I fix my toy? How will I play with my toy? And I realized that there is no point unless he wakes up, he's not going to understand that it was a dream. And then until then, he's not going to stop crying. So I had to wake him up and see it's a dream, it's not reality. And in that moment, I realized, that all of us are like that. We cry and cry for the things here and there. This did not work out, that did not work out. And, the higher power up must be thinking, laughing at
Wake up.
us. All this is dream, this is not real. What are you crying for? It's the same thing for us. But in that moment, I realized it. So sometimes I give this dream analogy to them. And it's, unless you experience it, it's not easy for everyone to understand it, no matter what you explain it to them. Unless they experience it, it
Uh,
it's just information to them. And it's a very vague information. Like for the first time when I came to know about things don't exist, I was like, I would just touch into objects and see, is this real? So that was me back then. But now, after so many years, I'm still learning, and there is so much to learn. I mean, knowledge, information, and experience, there is a big gap. And every day I'm still learning. And learning is not just reading books, trying to go deeper and understanding. So I would not say that I'm still there and that I experience non duality myself all the time. There are glimpses throughout the day.
yeah. Yeah.
So that is the highest knowledge. I don't think I can really teach that, but I teach what is written in the scriptures. It is
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
everybody to really experience themselves
Yes.
and
Yes.
do those practices so that they get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would not claim that I know everything or I can teach all of that, but
No,
I try.
you've
Yeah.
studied it.
Yes.
I think I've heard this somewhere. There are three kinds of gurus uh, that you would have on the spiritual path. One, the best kind, would be somebody who's realized and knows the scriptures. He has knowledge and he's enlightened himself. The
Mhm.
second best you can have is somebody who's read the scriptures and knows them in and out, but he's not self-realized. He's not
Mm.
enlightened yet, but
Okay.
he knows the scriptures in and out.
Okay.
Because when you go to such a person, he will teach you what is being taught.
Right.
Even though he's not
Right.
realized it, but he's teaching you the right stuff. Now, the third
Mm-hmm.
one is the most dangerous one to go to. He
Mm-hmm.
is somebody who is realized, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't know how to teach it. He doesn't
Oh,
know the scriptures because there is no method to teaching it, and he can put you into a vicious cycle of this and that. It's this. He will talk in so many different ways about it. So
right.
so
Right.
you right now, like if you say that you're not self awake and all that, you fall into the category where you know the scriptures and you're teaching it the right way that it's meant to be taught.
Yeah. Sticking to scriptures, I think it's the best way. And there are no chances of you falling, getting distracted here and there. And
Yeah.
I do get those kind of experiences in glimpses. I would not deny that as well, in glimpses. And when I do get that, I'm like, wow. But then I
So
live in city life and it's gone again.
Ah, okay, okay. Maybe we should have a session on that.
Yeah,
I
sure.
do all that stuff. Uh, I'll put your links in the description. I have YouTube and I have Instagram. Is there anything else apart from that?
Facebook.
This
Yes.
Facebook is same.
Yes.
Should the Desi Gyan?
Yes. I'll share you the link.
Okay, I'll put all
All
that.
right.
And it's been an awesome, awesome conversation. I loved it.
Same
Thank
here.
you so much for spending time and taking all the time to share this. It's the first time I've actually had a master. I always say, silent sages speak, and there are a lot of people who come and think, oh, we're going to see some sages, we're going to see some masters. And I say, there is no master here. Nobody's a master here. Nobody's a saint here. We're just sharing wisdom and knowledge
Yeah.
that we have. And if it makes sense to you, please use it. If it doesn't make sense, skip it, move ahead.
Yeah.
But today we have a master. We have somebody who's done masters. So thank you so much. It's
All
been
right.
lovely. And you have a beautiful smile. Keep
Thank you
doing what
so
you do.
much.
Stay
Thank you.
blessed.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And I too had a very good conversation. It was very light-hearted and fun, as you had told me. So I enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much.